When this man inherited an old, worn-down cabin from his grandfather, he was laughed at immensely. His siblings all got plenty of worth when the old man died. So naturally, they made fun of the man and his wooden shack, but then he looked inside and got the last laugh. Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. The moment Andrew's grandfather passed away marked a sad turning point in his life. He had always been very close with the old man and mourned his passing deeply. His relatives, on the other hand, never paid much attention to the man and only seemed interested in their inheritance afterwards. Because of this, Andrew was not surprised to see his entire family already sitting in the notary's office when he got there himself. Andrew's grandfather was a very rich man, and his father, mother, brother, and sister were all too eager to get what was owed to them, but they wouldn't get the last laugh. The old man had left all of them a long list of assets, and it was Andrew's family who heard their inheritance first. His father and mother both received $500,000, his brother got the vacation home that was worth about the same, and his sister got $100,000 and both family cars. And now it was Andrew's turn. What would his grandfather gift him after his demise? The notary looked at the humble young man with a serious face and said that the old man had something special planned for him. Once the envelope was opened, all people who attended leaned in, expecting a large sum of money, but what Andrew got was something totally unexpected. In this envelope, I leave you the old fishing cabin and the deeds to the small lake area surrounding it, the notary read out loud. Mocking laughter filled the room after that. The old fishing cabin was hardly worth anything. "You've got robbed, little brother," his sister said, grinning. Andrew wanted to argue with his smirky sister, but in his heart he knew she was right. He walked to his car in disappointment. It was not like he wanted tons of money, but to get such a measly gift compared to his siblings who never showed any interest in his grandfather felt a bit like a stab in the back. Arriving at the property, he saw the scene he was expecting, a dilapidated building with broken windows. Walking around in the place opened up his mind for questioning. He questioned why his grandfather would offer him this. The wooden building itself was worthless, but maybe he could do something with the ground the cabin stood on. Andrew refused to believe that his grandfather left him this place for no reason. Demolishing it would be a stain on his legacy. "There must be something special about this cabin that I'm not seeing," Andrew said out loud. The curious man walked back inside after that. That's when he noticed something strange. Shortly after re-entering the cabin, Andrew made an amazing discovery inside. He finally understood now. Andrew was over the moon with his unique inheritance, and the next day his relatives would find out why. Andrew was extremely happy now. His brother and sister didn't understand what was going on, and even his parents, who refused to take part in this mockery, looked at their son with wondering eyes. "What is it you saw at that cabin, Andrew? Tell us," they demanded. But Andrew just smiled again and refused their request. After his denial, the family started doing what they did best, pushing his buttons until he eventually would give in. Every chance they got, they would bring up the cabin. Eventually, Andrew said that they didn't deserve to know the cabin's secret. Andrew saw his brother and sister looking at him with desperate eyes, begging him to show them what he found. He told his family that he would show them what he found, but they had to keep it a secret. Hearing Andrew say those words made his relatives completely confused. Andrew told his family that if they wanted, they could leave right now. The cabin was only about an hour's drive from here, and there were plenty of hours left in the day. "It's time to go," Andrew said, smiling. His relatives were still a bit hesitant about the whole situation. "All right, we'll meet you outside in about 5 minutes, his sister eventually said, frowning. After 5 minutes, Andrew waited by his dirty dune buggy for his family to join him. They all arrived at the lake cabin together. Andrew parked his car closest, and his siblings parked their revoltingly expensive cars close behind him. But when they looked at the cabin, they said what Andrew had expected. "Is this it?" Looking at their disappointed faces was just an appetizer for Andrew's payback. The main course was waiting for them inside. "Don't worry, you will see soon enough," Andrew proclaimed. His sister cracked first, closely followed by his brother and parent. "Come on, man. This is not why we came here." "What is the big secret?" Andrew could hardly hold in his laughter. Andrew opened the door, slowly revealing the inside of the wooden cabin. Andrew admitted to them that at first he thought the same thing when he walked through here. It's just an empty cabin with a bad smell and some of Grandpa's old stuff, right? Well, if you think that, you are wrong, because there is more to this building than you might think. Look carefully. Edward crouched down next to the rug and grabbed one corner before rolling it up diagonally. By doing so, he uncovered a large hatch big enough for a person to climb trough. What is down there, little brother? Hidden treasure? Andrew just laughed again and said, something like that. Andrew had brought a backpack with him, and now it was time to open it. Out of it, he pulled 4 identical flashlights, but that attitude faded instantly when he saw the room he walked into. All of their eyes turned large at the same time. They turned towards Andrew, and he could see the sense of wonder on their faces. "Are you kidding me?" his sister said. But Andrew wasn't kidding at all. This was extremely serious. "I told you so, but you all didn't believe me," he said, laughing. The area they stood in was an enormous underground storage space, at least 10 times the size of the cabin above ground. It was not made out of wood, but built from strong, durable concrete, and it was filled to the brim with valuable historical artifacts. The reason for that was no coincidence. Andrew's grandpa was a well-known collector and trader of historical artifacts. In fact, his entire fortune, the one that his family relied on, was cultivated by this career, and it appeared that all of his work was stored in this secretive place. His grandfather owned Cleopatra's staff, the sword of Alexander the Great, and even a piece of robe that was apparently owned by Jesus Christ himself. And to Andrew's surprise, it all seemed to be stored in this unexpected location. Andrew shared the historical love with his grandfather, so the sight of this made him cry. Yes, Andrew saw the emotional value in each and every item inside this room. Unfortunately, his family did not share this outlook. They only saw the dollar bills these items could provide them. "There must be millions of dollars in this room just collecting dust," his brother said with a jealous look. And that's when they all asked the same question at pretty much the same time. "What are you going to do with all the money these objects will bring you?" Andrew expected this remark. That was why he didn't want them to come in the first place. They simply wouldn't understand. "Sorry guys, but I am not going to sell a single thing in this entire storage facility." His family looked at him like they had seen a ghost. They were like vultures hovering over the objects for their value, but not a single cent would go their way. Because Andrew had a different plan for this place. He was going to turn this site into a museum. All of his grandpa's most prized possessions were in this place, and they would stay that way. Within half a year, Andrew had built a small but breathtaking museum next to the cabin. The cabin he kept as it was, ugly, rotten, and smelling like wet clothes and fish. It was the way his grandfather liked it. The museum wasn't visited by tons of people. That was not what his grandfather wanted. The raw nature of this place did not need to be disturbed that much. No, Andrew only let a handful of enthusiasts visit the site on an appointment base only. That way, they could appreciate his grandfather's work in all its glory. And Andrew just sat on his simple folding chair in front of the wooden cabin he loved so much, because it belonged to his grandpa.